So I wanted to first just give you a couple hypotheticals, just because I think this would be good for our audience to hear. So first, let's talk about the individual. Maybe he's worked at a law firm for a couple years, making a good salary, knows the practice of law, and he's going out to hang his shingle, has a little bit of capital. Where would you say, outside of just networking and, use your sphere of influence, what would you say some of the, someone in the early stages, those channels today would be a few of your top recommendations?
Sure. It's while there's no singular or universal one size fits all method, I think you can appreciate that. There are certainly some critical foundational elements for any digital campaign, any digital presence. For that individual who's just starting out, likely very limited on what capital they can access, first and foremost, we want to find out what capital do they have access to, because I'm a huge believer in you. If you know your niche, if you know your area, go after it. Be aggressive. Don't tiptoe into this, because this certainly is not the industry to be tiptoeing into, or you will get ate up. And so that being said, if we are limited on capital, it starts with really securing your own personal brand, understanding who you are, who you serve, and ultimately why people are going to hire you if they have not hired you already. Establish those unique value propositions, because that is going to be the root of all of your communication, your messaging, your intake, your marketing. All of that's going to thrive off of that foundation. From there, translate that into a quality web presence. Now, what does that mean? That can mean a lot of different things, but at minimum, you need some form of an infrastructure, even if it's just a singular landing page. You create that, it represents your firm, represents your practice areas in a quality way. You also need to establish a Google business profile. That is just as important, if not more important, than your own website entity itself. Beyond that, you need to start recruiting reviews aggressively, as hard as you possibly can. Start within your circle, build out your reputation through a review standpoint. People do business with those they know, like, and trust. And the only way they're going to trust you is if you have a reputation that is trustworthy. And the best way to do that is to lean on the people who already know you. Even if they haven't used your services, they know who you are personally. They can speak to you, your integrity, your hard work, whatever that may be. That is, at minimum, Chris, what I see is that's bare foundation. You need that. It's essentially serving in many instances as that virtual business card, but it at least gives you the hub. And then you can begin to build the spokes out from there. Am I missing anything, Chris? What would you say?
I agree 100% with all of that. I appreciate the answer. I appreciate, look, the reviews at this point in time, specifically, are more important than ever. Local service ads, local services ads, and Google Maps, just because organic's been pushed down, and just the real estate and social proof and how people buy and their behaviors. I'm gonna take it a different approach, and I'm gonna let you have some fun with this one.
Yep.
So, and I want to point out one other thing before I move on. I really appreciated your answer about your identity and your values and things like that, because I think so often firms will say, "Oh, I'm going to go do this channel," and then like creative and their identity is secondary. When I actually think that you need to have continuity in your message to be memorable. So I really appreciate that. So let's have some fun. So let's say the big dogs, right? So you got Azar's the biggest. You got him in Colorado. You got Shannara, certainly the biggest in Alabama. You got Glenn Lerner, one of the biggest in he's in Phoenix and Chicago. Let's take one of the big dogs that's got the capital. Where are you seeing the most value? Let's say you've got the capital. What are you thinking about big picture, channels, distribution, all those types of things? And I know there's that end. It depends, but I'd say let's say the big dog PI, auto trucking. Like, how are you approaching that?
Yeah. This is really good. I mean, ideally, this is the best case scenario if you're a brand that's well established. And the short answer for me is you want to be everywhere, and that's difficult. Most people hear that and it feels lofty, but what do I mean by that? That's not just based on a best case scenario or an abstract world. That's based on proven data. There was a study done many years ago. Les Binet, I believe, was a leader in the research. Peter Fields maybe was the other name. Don't quote me on that. But they created this study called The Long and Short of It. And they studied some major businesses, big businesses who were investing in marketing and advertising. And they were assessing sales activation techniques of advertising, things that would immediately elicit response and conversions, and then assessing that against brand building techniques. Brand building being more traditional advertising that we typically think of: TV, billboards, radio, creating awareness for a brand. And what they found in that extensive study, I'm talking years of data that they collected, was that the most successful brands combine both sales activation and brand building techniques for the long term. They did not attempt to, capture lightning in a bottle with some particular tactic, and that's what allowed them to win enormously. No, it was a daily effort of being intentional, recognizing that for sales activation, in most instances, we're going to pay a premium to get the case, but we're going to get the case in early. And so we can lean on that as a business model to be able to get our caseload built up, grow our referrals. But without the brand building initiative supporting that, there was a significant amount of volatility in the business that was coming in. There was also more expensive cost per case or cost per client with the sales activation because the brand building was not there, creating awareness and constant knownness in the marketplace. So this study proved that both are critically important, both in the short term and in the long term. And if you want to protect your business, or at least increase, the probability of success, you're going to invest in both brand building techniques and sales activation. So bring that full circle to a law firm that has an incredible brand and a big wallet. I want to make sure that law firm is consistently investing in all aspects of brand in the marketplace. And the best way to assess that would be, where are other bigger competitors currently investing? Because if you're not working to dilute their brand presence and overpower theirs with yours, then you're missing opportunities within that pocket. I would invest as aggressively in all of those aspects that are reasonably possible and available to me as a law firm. And then I'm going to continue to invest and double down on sales activation. That can mean, protecting your own house through search engine optimization, local services ads, as we've brought up. But I'm also looking at other entities like lead generation companies. And I know that may come with a bad taste in some people's mouth, bad experiences there. But a full court press with this type of campaign is critically important if you really want to be the number one entity in the marketplace. And so that's it. It's be everywhere reasonable. Is the budget often one of the biggest preventers or bottlenecks of that? Yes. And so then you have to begin to prioritize. But as long as you're continuously investing in both camps, brand building and sales activation, you are giving your business the best chance of maximum long-term growth.